It has been nearly 3 years since ChatGPT first came out, starting this AI age that most people seem to be so sick of already. Now, you might remember when we first started hearing about AI, we had these tech CEOs promising us that AI would be so groundbreaking and that our lives would change so much for the better. We heard these billionaire tech CEOs tell us how AI would cure cancer, solve the environmental crisis, and that before the end of the decade, AI would be so good at everything that nobody would need to work. So how has AI changed our lives? Well, employers just announced that they're laying off 108,000 people in January alone. That is the highest tally for the first month of the year since 2009. Now, in case you were born yesterday, in 2008, we were fresh out of a financial crisis. All the banks were collapsing in this country and we had to bail them out. Job openings for January have been the lowest since 2020. And that's when we were dealing with a global pandemic. And now AI even seems to be posing a threat to most software companies listed in the stock market. And since the end of January, we have seen $830 billion being wiped out of the market in software and service stocks. So even though we see companies like Google and Nvidia making headlines about AI investments and groundbreaking advancements in the technology, the more I read, the more I start to see AI as a net negative for the economy and for the population as a whole. And here's why. If you read the news, you know what I'm talking about. It's like every day we see another round of layoffs, another low jobs report. Last year during the government shutdown, the longest shutdown since what, like 100 years? I don't even know. It was the longest shutdown in history. We just didn't have a jobs report for October, for example. So this is not news. But why does it feel like something is breaking, but nobody's calling it broken? Here's what I see. The economy is entering a jobless slowdown, okay? Layoffs are on the rise. We got a hiring freeze spreading in every sector of the economy. And while all of that is happening, we have AI quietly replacing white-collar work right before our eyes, replacing the very people that have built the systems in place that have allowed AI to ascend. And here's the strange part, nobody's talking about it. No official recession has been announced. There's some financial panic, but investors seem to be so clouded with this AI craze that they truly believe that all will be fixed if they just continue to further invest and develop AI. So what is this? Because if you're in the job market right now, the situation feels a lot worse than what the headlines are saying. You see the writing on the wall. You see your boss telling you to write most of your code and do most of your work in AI and to organize your data in a way that AI can easily interpret it. And so you can't help but wonder, am I training my own replacement here? What's going on? And that's precisely the problem. You see, this is not a recession, okay? Everyone keeps asking me, what's going on with the economy? What's going on in the market? Are we in a recession? But you're asking the wrong question. Recessions, they're easy to recognize. GDP shrinks, unemployment rises, the market crashes. This doesn't look like that at all. We still see companies posting record profits. We still see new products coming out. Consumer spending is through the roof. What's happening right now is quieter, it's more strategic, and frankly, it just feels a lot more intentional. Right now, it feels as though these mega corporations are just chomping at the bit to get rid of all their human capital and just replace them with an army of AI agents working for them around the clock, instead of relying on humans who take sick days, vacations, and demand a high wage. And look, large corporations, they have every single incentive to do this. By replacing us with robots, they can maximize profits, increase margins, and get rid of all of these long-term labor commitments they have. And because we are people and not soulless machines, in the eyes of these firms, we are a constant reoccurring liability. Like I said before, humans need salaries, healthcare, training, and oftentimes people will move around and hop from one job to another to maximize their pay or just further their careers. AI systems, in the other hand, these are scalable capital investments that will continue to improve as the technology gets better and more refined for specific tasks. We already see that. We see AI agents for creative work. We see AI agents for legal work, for data analysis, for programming. The technology is only getting better and is only getting more refined for specific tasks. AI is infiltrating every single industry you can think of. Even the Burger King drive-thru is an AI. And even companies that do not fully replace their workers with AI are still going to have leverage by having some AI implemented in there. Fewer open roles reduce wage pressure and they quiet internal mobility. People stop moving around. Their workers get scared. They're like, am I gonna keep this job? Am I gonna have this job next month? I remember back in the early pandemic days when tech was booming and people would just have like 4 full-time jobs. And these companies are just like begging these workers to work for them, giving them crazy sign-on bonus and 6-7 figure salaries. That's just not happening anymore. And you might be asking yourself, well, we only had AI, we only had ChatGPT for like what, 3 years? Why are these companies cutting so early? That's because what I'm saying right now, they are thinking too. Before, for a company to grow, they had to attract the best and brightest talents. In fact, companies, they would stomach paying New York, San Francisco rent just so they could be in that environment. If you want to build in tech, you got to come to San Francisco. That's where all the bright minds are at. So companies, they had to fork up the high taxes, the high rent costs, and all the regulation that comes with having a company in New York City, in San Francisco, in Mountain View, in Sunnyvale. They had no other choice. Now we're going to start seeing companies generate growth from automation. If AI can cover 60% of the tasks, companies can hold off on hiring. And if in 2023, I told you that in just 3 years, we would be sitting here having this conversation, you'd think I'm crazy. What felt like a very distant future, robots working, replacing humans, what felt like a sci-fi movie seems to be itching closer and closer every single day with each and every single new AI model and AI tool that hits the market. It's like I said at the outset, even software firms now are finding themselves in the scope of AI. Software stocks just lost $830 billion in market value because investors are seeing the writing on the wall. They're worried about a team of engineers with Claudebot and Claude Code and Copilot getting together over a weekend and rebuilding an entire NASDAQ listed company. You think a company like DocuSign can be made with AI? And that's what investors are debating right now. If AI can invade job applications, legal tools, marketing tools, data analysis tools, what happens to traditional enterprise software? And if traditional enterprise software margins shrink, what happens to the workers tied to those margins? This is why this is more concerning than a recession. This is not a pullback in the economy, a shift in supply chains. We're witnessing a structural shift in employment and how companies and people are going to engage in the future. And like I said before, recessions, they come and go. When a recession comes, it's tough, people get fired, people lose their houses. It goes without saying it's ugly, but eventually people figure it out, firms adapt, new opportunities emerge, new players enter the market, and eventually we come out of a recession on top. We did it in 2008, we did it during the pandemic, we did it during the oil crisis, and we'll do it again when it comes around. Structural shifts like this, they don't reverse. AI is not going to suddenly uninvent itself. That's just not going to happen. AI is here to stay. If companies learn that they can operate leaner, they will not forget that lesson. And I'm talking about this now, there's a couple other people talking about this, but this is not going to show up in your standard unemployment numbers. This is going to show up when people just simply don't get hired. And you want to know why? Because historically, companies hire junior level employees knowing that they would need to train them and really give them the tools to become successful. Junior employees, like recent grads, they need training. They need to learn the ropes of their role before they truly become an asset. Now, if software can perform the tasks that these lower ranking employees usually were in charge of, then companies will no longer need to take the risk to hire these people. And when they do hire, they will hire fewer, more seasoned and senior people. Not because they hate the young workers or because Gen Z has no skills like these boomers want to tell us, but because from a capital perspective, junior labor is now competing with automation. So what does this mean? Look, I'm not going to make a video just fear mongering. I'm going to give you a couple tips on what you can do to try to counter this. I'm not saying that there will be no jobs. What I am saying is the entry-level job might not entirely disappear, but it will very likely shrink. And if you're a recent grad, you need to understand this shift. You are not competing with other graduates around your class anymore. You're competing against Claude. You're competing against ChatGPT. You're competing against Gemini. I've been saying this for a long time, and you can go to my channel and find a video, but you need to build your network now. Now is time for you to build your network. Who can you call? Who can you text and say, hey, can we get a coffee and have a chat? Hey, can you introduce me to this person? Hey, are you guys hiring? Can I send you my resume? You need to find people in positions of power. People in positions of power can propel your career in ways that are unimaginable. So networking is no longer an option. It is a requirement. It's a must. You have to do it. If you do not have anything going for you, if you're applying to 100 jobs a day and you have 3 interviews and they don't go anywhere, look, what's that saying that goes like insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over, but expecting a different outcome? Yeah, don't be insane. Find a couple people, find some alumni alumni of your school, connect with them, get a coffee, pick their brains, get their email. You got to put shots in. You got to try to talk to these people. Look, you already have the note. Just ask them. On top of that, let's say you don't like networking. You said, Lucas, I'm not going to do it. I don't like talking to people. I don't like begging. I don't like the humiliation ritual. That's fine. You need to build visible proof of your skills, okay? Side projects matter a lot more now because companies want to see evidence of your skills. Start something, ship something, publish something, build something AI cannot replace. Easier said than done. I get it. And if you're looking at your college degree debating if this is now the new high school diploma, well, you're kind of right. But the answer isn't necessarily to just get a master's. Remember, degrees only help you so much. And if they're not intentional, it's just going to be a waste of time and a waste of money. If you're getting a master's just because that's what people do, you're digging yourself a bigger hole. Continuing education is really good. I do recommend that everybody get educated, but it only makes sense if it builds technical skills or if it gives you access to deeper networks. Like if you go to Stanford, Harvard, or MIT, if you have a chance to go to one of these elite schools, obviously you have to go. But if you're looking at your college degree and you're like, okay, well, this doesn't get me anything, I guess I need a master's, that is the wrong way of thinking. Your college degree was an investment. Time that you invested, the money that you spent, you have to at least try to leverage that. And if you tried everything, if you applied to every job, if you tried every connection, and you're still not getting anything, then maybe you're right. Maybe you should get a master's. But don't use that as your scapegoat. Don't use that as an excuse to keep delaying the process of getting a job and entering the labor market. And last, but certainly not least, learn how to work with AI. Look, whether or not we like it, the technology is here to stay. And trying your hardest to fight it and work around it will only help your competition get ahead.